Hello everyone, very good morning and welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. So finally after a lot of struggle and I hope there was some very much difficult scenario that we have overcome in this session and finally we are live. I hope everybody is now able to listen to me, everybody is able to watch me clearly. So kindly confirm it in the comments box that if you are able to watch this video properly without any issue of the voice or the video or anything else. So very good morning Aisha, Priya, very good morning Neeraj, Bulbul, Gupta, very good morning to everybody. So today we are going to talk about a battle that completely changed the Indian history, completely changed the course of our realization over the period of time that the Marathas, they would be replacing the Mughals. Why were they not successful at replacing the Mughals? Why were they defeated by the Afghan army, which was some sort of, you can say, not an aggressor properly because he already had some areas of Indian subcontinent under his control. But why these two sides collide with each other? What was the reason of the defeat of Marathas? Everything will be covered in this session. So join it and let's get started with this session without any further delay. So before starting it, let me tell you one more thing, that if you are aspiring for the 2024 UPSC Civil Services Examination, then this is the golden opportunity that you get yourself enrolled in the P2I batch, which is already started from the 19th of June. Okay. So this 19th of June, the batch has already started. So you are now getting delayed. So do not get delayed. Get yourself enrolled in the session as quick as possible. But one more thing that you have to keep in the mind, that do not forget to use this code ASR Live. And why so? Because this code ASR Live is going to give you a great benefit. The cost of the course will be just rupees 29,999 rupees. Now let's get to the topic, and today's topic, the third battle of Panipat. Good morning Akhilesh, very good morning. So the third battle of Panipat actually took place on the day of Makar Sankranti. The Makar Sankranti, or the 14th of January in the year 1761, the day which is considered auspicious for the Hindu culture, that day was actually proven to be disastrous for the Maratha army. They did not just lose the battle, they lost as many as at least 1 lakh of people. 1 lakh of the Maratha, not just the soldiers, but also the common people, the common Marathas who had gone along with the army to do a campaign and to aspire for the pilgrimage sites in the northern India, even they were also succumbed to the death. What was the reason of this devastating defeat of the Marathas? Basically, Ahmed Shah Durrani or Ahmed Shah Abdali as he is also known as, Ahmed Shah Durrani, along with his two Indian allies, Rohilla Afghans of Doab and Shujauddin of the Awadh, these two allies who sided with Ahmed Shah Durrani. And why did they do so? Because the motive was basically to take the revenge on the Marathas, the first thing. Second thing, that they wanted to create an army of Islam, because the Marathas, they were symbolizing the Hindu Padshaahi, right? So that was basically a political battle which had converted into a an ideological clash of the two distinct ideologies. So that is how it goes. Now, moving further, when we talk about the background of this battle, so let me tell you the complete scenario of what was going on. Actually, in the year 1754, what happened? That Marathas, they had overpowered Delhi and made sure that the emperor who was sitting on the throne of Delhi should be of the choice of the Marathas. Now, as I think you might be aware that this was the time in the later half of the 18th century that at that time different noble communities in the Mughal court, they were fighting against each other to enthrone a person on the Mughal seat who would be their supporter. However, the Marathas distorted their complete game, and this led to the displeasure of especially the Rohillas, who were very influential at the court of Delhi. Now, what happened that means Rohillas, they actually went to the help of Ahmed Shah Abdali, and Ahmed Shah Abdali was an Afghan successor of the Iranian ruler Nadir Shah, and Ahmed Shah Abdali was continuously invading India since 1748, repeatedly. So therefore, he saw an opportunity in this matter. Apart from this particular region, let me tell you another region, that was when under the Peshwa Baji Rao, Gujarat and Malwa came under the Maratha control, and in fact in 1737 only Baji Rao had defeated the Mughals at the outskirts of Delhi and brought the much of the Mughal territories in the southern part of Delhi under the Maratha control. In Afghanistan, Ahmed Shah Durrani, he was the founder of the Durrani Empire in 1747, and the next year itself started attacking India because he had heard the stories of the India's riches, obviously from the Iranian predecessors. So what happened? When Balaji Bajirao, the son of Bajirao first, Balaji Bajirao, he succeeded Maratha kingdom. So he decided to expand the Maratha kingdom further into the inroads of Punjab. So now Bajirao first, he had reached to the outskirts of Delhi. Balaji Bajirao decided to go beyond Delhi and enter Punjab region as well. In fact, he was successful to control the area of Punjab in 1758. In fact, that particular area of Punjab, which is currently in India, that was under the control of the Marathas by the year 1758. And the area of Punjab, which is in Pakistan, basically the areas of Lahore, Multan, etc., they were under the control of Ahmed Shah Abdali. Now, more or less, you can say that the Marathas empire and the empire of Abdali, they both now shared the boundaries. In fact, Marathas had got the right to collect the Chauth and Sardeshmukhi in the areas of as far as up to the Indus region. So it was naturally, you can say it was naturally a point of conflict, because Afghans were also claiming the control over the same area, and at the same time even the Marathas were also claiming the control over the same area. So you can see here, this is the Lahore and this is Attock. This is Attock. Now this is basically the river Indus about which I am talking right now. Oh sorry, here it is river Indus. So this Attock is at the bank of river Indus. Now Marathas were also claiming this particular area of Punjab, and Afghans were also claiming this area of Punjab, right? So the Marathas power station, that was at Pune. However, Afghans were located at the very close, and also Afghans were having very much influence in the regions of nearby Delhi, and at the same time the Nawab of Awadh was also supporting the Afghans. Eventually, if we talk about the other factors, like why did Marathas face this unfavorable circumstances, the major reason behind that would be that Marathas were completely disfavored by the Rajputs, completely disfavored by the, or in fact fought against the Awadh Nawab, fought against the Marathas. Rohilla Sardars fought against the Marathas. So overall, Marathas were stranded. They were left alone in this battle. Now if we observe, the third battle of Panipat, that was fought between which armies? So as I told you, that basically this battle, which was occurring in the 1761 at a place about 60 miles north of the Delhi. So that battle actually, that was pitted between the French supplied artillery and cavalry of the Marathas against the heavy cavalry and mounted artillery of the Afghans. So actually Marathas, they had their artilleries and their unit of artillery is trained from the French soldiers, okay, French commanders. Whereas the Afghans, they relied upon the heavy artilleries as used by the Afghan soldiers traditionally, that was called as Zamburak and Giselle. Okay, so these were basically the heavy mounted artilleries of the Afghan origin. Now, after that, there were also the supporters who were basically the ethnic Pashtuns in the army of Ahmed Shah Abdali, Nazib-ud-Dawla, the Rohilla Sardar. And those who are not aware about the Rohillas region or the Rohilkhand region, let me tell you, the current or the modern area of Bareilly, Farrukhabad, all that region actually is under the Rohillas region, okay, Rohilkhand we call it. That is in Uttar Pradesh. Now, after that, what happened, that both sides tried to get the Nawab of Awadh, okay, Nawab of Awadh, Shujauddin into their camp. However, by the July end, Shujauddin decided to join. He decided to join the camp of Ahmed Shah Abdali, not the camp of Marathas. However, let me tell you one thing. It was due to the Nawab of Awadh Safdar Jung that the Marathas had become the enemies of Rohilla Afghans. Had that not happened, the Rohillas might be neutral in that battle, right now. But Safdar Jung, he led to the animosity between the Rohillas and the Marathas, whereas his successor Shujauddin, he completely favored with them. So Marathas again, they were simply cheated, they were simply double crossed in this thing. So overall, what happened, that Marathas and Afghans made an effort to, ensconce the Shujauddin, the Nawab of Awadh, in their camp. However, Shujauddin joined the Afghan Rohilla coalition, and that was basically due to the army of Islam concept. So Shuja, why was his support important? Why do you think that Shujauddin might have made a difference? It is because due to the support of Shujauddin, let me tell you, due to the support of Shujauddin, it would have been much more easy for the Marathas to continue their supplies, as it became easier for the Afghans to reside in India, to stay in India for a long period of time, because Afghan army also had enough, they did not have enough resources to stay in India for such a long period of time. If Awadh Nawab had not supported the Afghan army in this battle, there was no chance that they would have defeated the Marathas. Okay. Now coming to this point, that without Shuja's assistance, it seems unlikely that Afghan Rohilla coalition could continue fighting the Marathas. As we all are aware that Marathas were so much sure of their victory, that they had brought 30,000 pilgrim aspirants, those who were aspiring for the pilgrimage. There were the families in the Maratha camp. The children had come along with them. Okay, so it was like a long-term tour for them. They were so much sure of the victory in this battle. And not just that. Actually, the Marathas were thinking that their French-trained artilleries would be too much for the Afghans to handle. But they did not imagine that Ahmed Shah Durrani was such a strategic commander that he would be simply outshining the Maratha strategies in this war. How did he do that? If we observe it, so Marathas had a strength of the 45,000 to 60,000 that was accompanied by roughly 2 lakh non-combatants, non-combatants, a number of whom were pilgrims desirous of making pilgrimages. So such a huge load. Remember that Marathas, we always hear that Marathas died because of the hunger. The Afghans did not defeat Marathas. The winters of the northern India and the hunger of the stomachs, that defeated Marathas. Imagine that these 2 lakh people who were extra, who were not fighting any battle, who were just like a burden on the Maratha army, their defense, their food, their shelter, everything was a problem for the Marathas. Had they not gone along with the Marathas, who knew that result might be different? All right, good morning, Riddhi. So therefore, Afghans along with their supporters exceeded the Maratha strength of the combatants of basically Afghan army. Historians are quite, you can say indeterminate about the fixed number of the Afghan army, but somehow they claim that it was superior in the numbers, at least if the numbers of the fighters are concerned. Okay, so what happened? You can see this particular positioning of the Marathas army. So here it was, right here it was a reserve. Okay, so basically their location that was basically filled with the non-combatants. Now here is the location of Ahmed Shah Abdali, the position of Ahmed Shah Abdali. Now what happened? That initial invasion, right? Initial invasion that would be at the place. Now if we talk about the initial invasions, all right, initial invasions. So they actually occurred from the side of the Marathas. And why so? What was the reason? It was basically due to that Marathas, they had reached to the Delhi on the 1st of August 1760. 1st of August 1760. And remember that Marathas were coming from a place all along almost 1000 kilometers away. 1000 kilometers away from the position or the place of war. So after traveling that much distance, they were obviously they were exerted. Now when they were exhausted, so they reached Delhi and they took the control of the city of Delhi very quickly. After that, there was a small battle of Kunjpura, in which the Marathas defeated the Afghans. There were just 15,000 Afghan soldiers. They were defeated by the Marathas. However, Ahmed Shah Abdali was not present in that troop of the Afghans. He was trying to cross the river Yamuna. Now, Abdali daringly crossed the river Yamuna on 25th of October at a place called Bagpat in Uttar Pradesh and cutting off the Maratha camp from their base in Delhi. Actually, Marathas were surrounded. They were surrounded. If you have a look, right, so Yamuna that was crossed at the location of Bagpat, and Marathas who were having the challenge already in the western part of the land, now they had the challenge even in the eastern part. In the east, Rohillas and Awadh, they were already present. Rohillas and Awadh, they were already present. For this is the location of suppose Yamuna. So Marathas were marching to this particular site. However, Abdali, a small force of Abdali was fighting against Marathas at the west, and Abdali crossed the Yamuna and reached to the east point. Now, on both the sides, the Afghan armies, they had put the Maratha army under siege. They had put the Maratha army under siege. The problem was that due to this siege, the base camp of the Marathas that started drying up in the supplies. They had no supplies left to sustain their soldiers as well as the additional people who had come along with. Now, the 2 month long siege led by Abdali against the Marathas in the town of Panipat, that was the point where the supplies were completely drying, and this is why by the end of the November 1760, they had completely cut off the food supplies into the Maratha camp, and due to which the Marathas, by the end of the December, they completely started dying. They started starving. The cattle in the Maratha camp, the people, Jai Krishnanupur, the people who were not soldiers, they all started dying because of the starvation. Thousands of people died because of hunger only. Right? On the 13th of January, that was the Maratha chief that begged to their commander Sadasiv Rao Bhau to allow them to at least die in the battle, not because of the hunger. That was the condition. So on the very next day, remember this huge war, having killed thousands of people, that huge war was just fought for one day. Remember, sometimes we come across the descriptions of the great battles like the Battle of Haldi Ghati, as we had discussed in this series only. The Battle of Haldi Ghati was just for 3 to 4 hours. Similarly, the third battle of Panipat, that was also fought just for 1 day, from the sunrise from the morning till the evening. That's all. But in that much of duration only, there was huge devastation. So the Marathas who got the permission, they actually marched southwards towards the Afghan camp in the desperate attempt to break their siege. The two armies came face to face around 8 a.m. in the morning, and battle was done and dusted by the evening. It is often said in the stories, remember that Marathas, the Maratha chronicles which record the history of the warfares, history of the Maratha rulers, they are called as Bakhar, right? They are called as Bakhar. So there are the Bakhars which create a sort of notion that had the arrow not hit Sadashiv Rao Bhau, had Vishwas Rao not been killed in the battle, who knew that Marathas might have won the battle? So history always gives us an alternative opinion of the chances, had this not happened, had that not happened. But as we all are aware that these are simply speculations. All right. So reasons for the Afghan victory in the third battle of Panipat. Why did Afghan win the battle? Why did Marathas lose the battle? The first thing, that advanced Afghan strategies, and Marathas lost the control over the Doab region. So Marathas basically, they did not anticipate that Afghans might cross not just the 5 rivers of Punjab, but they also might cross the Yamuna river to surround them from all the sides. At the same time, Marathas, they were they were completely lacking any type of support, neither from Awadh nor from Rajput. In fact, even when the Jat ruler Maharaja Surajmal, he offered to help the Marathas, the Maratha commander Sadashiv Rao Bhau, he simply refused that offer, saying that we do not need the support of anybody. And it was the same Maharaja Surajmal, after the defeat in this battle, he had escorted the armies, the remaining people in the armies of the Marathas who were blatantly injured, or the women in the Maratha camp. He had escorted them back to the house of Peshwa in Pune. In fact, let me tell you that Marathas who were expert in the guerrilla warfare techniques, but the northern plains at Panipat, they were not suitable for the guerrilla warfare, and the Marathas had completely lesser experience against the formidable enemies like the Afghans in the face-to-face battles. However, despite the less experience as well, they still relied upon the artilleries led by Ibrahim Gardi. However, let me tell you the story of Ibrahim Gardi as well. He was an Afghan. He was an Afghan commander who was the part of the Maratha camp. He was given the allurements by Ahmed Shah Abdali, similarly as he had invited Awadh Nawab and Rohillas, and they were both in the camp of Abdali in the name of Islam. Even Ibrahim Gardi was also offered to join the camp of Ahmed Shah Abdali in the name of Islam, but he chose his duty. He chose his his allegiance with the Marathas. Okay, so therefore the patriotism was not defined by religion for Ibrahim Gardi. That's his greatness. However, his artilleries were nowhere in the comparison of the Afghan artilleries of the Abdali, and therefore Marathas had to lose the fight. Similarly, the commanders, several Sardars and the commanders of the Maratha army, including one of the great commanders, in fact Malhar Rao Holkar, he refused to fight in this battle. Why? Because he was absolutely clear that we are going to lose, so I am not going to risk my life. As simple as that. He is the same Malhar Rao Holkar who was the father-in-law of Ahilyabai Holkar. Okay. And at the same time, probably, according to me, this is the biggest reason. This is the biggest reason that why did Marathas lose. In fact, in this session itself, I have told it, I think, twice or thrice, that the unsurmountable pressure that was on the Marathas because of the additional number of the people who were joining the camp, who were not fighters, who were pilgrims, etc., that led to the excessive burden on the supplies, on the food, on the travel, everything else, and led to the easy crumbling of the Marathas campaign. All right, everyone. Not just that, if we talk about the aftermath of the battle, so what happened? After the battle ended on the 14th of January 1761, this was not the end of the Afghan atrocities over the Maratha camp. Let me tell you that following the fight, in the next day, on the next day, approximately 40,000 Marathas, they were imprisoned and they were brutalized. They were simply murdered after the day of fight. Sadashiv Rao Bhau and Vishwas Rao were also the combatants who were killed in this battle. So the Peshwa Balaji Bajirao, when he heard this news, he fell into shock. He could not recover from that shock, in fact, and he died very quickly after that battle. But let me tell you one more thing, that even Abdali was also not in a very much relaxed position. He knew it very well that Marathas, they were capable of much more, and this is not due to the military superiority of the Afghan army that they were able to win the Marathas. It was due to the treachery, due to the double crossing of the Indian rulers only against the Marathas, and at the same time it was due to the lack of food and supplies to the Marathas, because of which they lost the battle. Therefore, when he heard the news, when he got to hear that the Maratha army from the Pune, that is coming to rejoin this camp, so then the Afghans decided to retreat back immediately. Okay, so basically that was the case that particularly tells us that even Afghans were not very much sure about their victory initially, but they saw this victory as a great accomplishment for their army. In fact, let me tell you that when the Marathas, when they resurged after a few years, and the Maratha camp, which was led by the new Peshwa Madhav Rao, so that was the time in the 1771 probably that Peshwa Madhav Rao, he reinitiated the campaign to capture the northern areas of India and to punish those people who had gone against the Marathas, who had double crossed the Marathas for the battle. So finally we can say that this episode of the Ahmed Shah Abdali versus Maratha army, that did not just end in the battle of Panipat, but it continued at least in the form of the revenge that was sought by the Marathas against the northern kingdoms, and that finally got over in 1771 when Peshwa Madhav Rao, he successfully enthroned the Emperor Shah Alam II at the throne of Delhi by defeating the claims of the Afghan Rohillas. Remember that Rohilla Sardars, they had replaced the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, and he was not permitted to enter inside the Delhi. And the Marathas under Peshwa Madhav Rao, they reinstalled Shah Alam II on the seat of Delhi by punishing the Rohillas in 1771. So that was basically when this battle or this particular stride got completed. And let me tell you one more thing, that when this stride got completed, so that was the year 1771 when finally the Marathas had punished the Rohillas for their treachery. So guys, in this session only that much will be there, and I hope that this session would have given you a complete insight of the third battle of Panipat. You might also have been aware that why was this battle lost by the Marathas? Why did they lose this battle, as the topic says? So that's all from my side. If you loved this narration, you can surely give a like to this session, and if you are willing that your friends also should watch it, so do not forget to share this session with your friends as well. And guys, let me tell you that StudyIQ has already started the P2I batch, in which we are supporting the candidates from the prelims up to their interview with the every possible guidance that could be provided to an aspirant. So do not forget to use this code ASR Live to join our courses at the rupees 29,999, and the courses had already started, so do not delay it, because every day counts from now for this upcoming examination of 2024. So make it sure that you do the needful. So thank you so much for watching it. Take care, guys, and let's meet in the next session. Till then, take care, bye-bye, and Jai Hind. Thank you.